Welcome to Leland's Logic. I am Leland Ship, your host, and tonight we are discussing words. Not just any words, mind you, but words that are being banned on college campuses across the United States of America. The words we will be looking at tonight are words that are deemed offensive. And the question that many in this great country of ours have is this. Who is making these lists? Who is it that determines what words are offensive? And these are questions because who is making these decisions really does matter. I mean, if we put someone who supports socialism or other radical ideologies in charge of creating these lists, it really matters. And it is amazing that there are people who want this great country of ours to go down a road that simply leads to tyranny. And now, socialism and communism both will lead to underperforming economies as well as the loss of individual opportunity for generations, folks. And if this is the goal, then I would say we're right on track as our country's economy is going south in a hurry. And history tells us that communism leads to one family or one individual ruling. And with this said, let's now look at the words that the latest college in the United States has stated are offensive words. Michigan State University has put out what they call bigoted phrases in their inclusive language guide. And here are the words on this list, or some of them for the start off of this video. America, terrorist, Christmas trees, bunnies, overweight, and nuts. Michigan State explains that the origins of seemingly innocuous idioms or words may be racist, sexist, or ableist in nature, and this university is not alone, as Harvard as well as other colleges have done this as well. It is nuts, folks. These are harmful language guides, and Michigan State University has gone too far here. I mean, Christmas trees or bunnies? Really? Those are everyday language. That's in our everyday language. And however, if the ones making up the list have an agenda, then this list is not nuts to them, but it is doing what they intend for the list to do. And one can argue that this list ostracizes people of the Christian faith, as the word Christmas, which has their Savior, Christ, in it, as well as bunnies, which are typically related to Easter, and which brings up a good point. This Sunday is Easter Sunday, folks. But the bunnies in no way represent Easter in any shape or fashion or form in belief or faith. Now, commercially, they represent Easter as far as money-making purposes or commercially speaking. So what about this banning words as a norm? I do have something that I would like to share or point out here, probably, right? Yeah, of course I do. I want to point out that banning words ends the solving of problems. Or, to put it in another way, it removes people from the table of problem solving as they cannot express facts or support their point of view without the utilization of specific words. So, for example, go tell someone about the events of 9/11 without utilizing the word terrorist. Or go discuss the border crisis with a politician without utilizing the words illegal aliens. But I have a question. If they're banned words or words that offend people of faith, aren't they violating their own rules with the list? Again, who is it that's coming up with these types of outlandish lists anyway? They are a problem in and of themselves. Now listen, America had better wake up, folks. Make no mistake, this is the road that the left are not only wanting to take, it is the way of life that the left want to instill here in the United States. We need to circle the wagons and come up with much needed serious solutions to these kinds of issues. Just like what Michigan State University and other colleges are doing. They are ostracizing everyday Americans. The words on their harmful and offensive lists make the lists themselves very destructive, as the words being deemed harmful are not harmful. But the Michigan State University list continues. I mean, there are more words on the list, folks. And here's some now. Cakewalk, tipping point, rule of thumb, founder, and bonkers. Do you see how this list is truly bonkers, folks? Listen, people who are serious about their responsibilities, meaning that they have jobs, families, and etc., they do not sit around creating absurd and absolutely ridiculous lists like the one that Michigan State University has come up with. The university claims that they have created this list in the name of diversity, equality, and inclusiveness. Again, this is clearly a push of an extreme ideology onto people, mainly their students, but one has to ponder if the faculty follow the rules. And I want to say again, if the list is, and these words on the list are offending people of faith, meaning Christians, with the words that are on that list, are they not creating what they say they are eliminating, which is offensiveness? So one should gather from this that Michigan State University chooses to support a radical ideology, and that is what has ruined colleges all over this great country of ours. Another question is, if they ban these words, do they go into the university library and pull books off the shelves with these words in them? It's just a question. And another question is, how does that work? Do they have a big fire in the center of campus and people are just tossing books into the fire? Well, I'll say we've seen this before somewhere, haven't we? Of course we have. Now, when banning fever takes a hold, it can be very difficult to stop. And this soon becomes habit. And now, do you remember the movie The Breakfast Club? The Breakfast Club, great movie. Well, it was an 80s classic, and there was a scene in the movie where there were 5 students sitting in the library serving their Saturday detentions, and the authoritarian vice principal, Richard Vernon, he's running the show, and he comes in after a kid by the name of Jonathan Bender removes the pin from the door, causing the door to slam shut. And at this, Vice Principal Vernon storms into the library demanding to know why that door is closed. And as you can imagine, he gets a sarcastic answer from none other than Jonathan Bender. Then the vice principal has another student, Andrew Clark, who is a wrestler on the wrestling team in the movie, to get up to assist him to move a magazine display into the doorway to hold the door open. And when Vernon asks Andrew Clark to stand up, Jonathan Bender asks, how come Andrew gets to get up? If he gets up, we'll all get up. It'll be anarchy. That is how I see banning of words. Once it starts, it will never end. It just becomes like smoking cigarettes, a bad habit. Now, banning words is not a sensible solution, in which I've previously stated. It removes people from the table of discussing the issues in order to identify great solutions to bigger problems. Not to mention that banning words is unconstructive. If you do not like a phrase or word, then just do not use it. If you feel the need to explain why you think it's offensive and why you don't use it, then explain it if you can find someone who will even listen to you. But banning words for entire campuses or large groups of people is futile, and it's heavy-handed as well as very destructive, not to mention cliche. I think the biggest issue that arises when you begin to ban words is the fact that freedom of speech is a fundamental right in the United States of America. Now, it is the very thing that different sides of the political aisle have their different angles and opinions about, and when what they see falls under freedom of speech. They have a lot of differences there, but there are many who believe in freedom of speech no matter what. Then they say, but this and but that. Let me share that the First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And the liberties embraced by that phrase belong to all of us who live in the United States of America. With that being said, we all can and absolutely should now become knowledgeable about their breadth and limitations. Listen, there are people who will say, I have that right because of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. But they have no clue what the First Amendment says or really means. And I'm going to go ahead and point something out. First off, it is only about the government, folks. The first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution, also known as the what? Also known as the Bill of Rights. The U.S. Constitution itself and all of the amendments sets limits on only the relationship between the United States government and its people. Meaning, it does not apply to other countries nor people or companies in the United States of America. If the government is not involved, then it does not apply. But in the case of Michigan State University and other colleges, I know that the U.S. government provides them with federal grant money, either to students for tuition or grants for other things like research and science type projects. So one has to ask if their list of offensive words should not allow one to petition the courts about the United States government for their grant funding, as the university is infringing on people's First Amendment rights. Or does it give a student a right and have a case if they pursue legal actions and remedies, as the federal government has a relationship with the university and they are involved because of the grant funding, and thus the university is infringing upon the students' First Amendment rights. And I would say that would be something for a courtroom to decide. But the one thing that I also would say is that putting words on a ban list probably does not do much good. In fact, many students probably utilize the words anyway, and some in a John Bender banter of sarcasm while they laugh with each other about it. Well, there you have it. Leland's logic. And hey, I will see you where the rubber hits the road.